The lonely table and the invitation restaurant was warm, filled with the quiet hum of people talking, glasses clinking, and soft music playing overhead. Golden lights hung low above each table, making every meal feel like its own private moment. It was Thanksgiving evening, and most of the tables were full, families laughing, couples holding hands, children waving spoons in the air. The entire room smelled like roasted turkey, mashed potatoes, and cinnamon bread. It felt like home. But in the far corner, by the window, one man sat alone. He wasn't looking at a phone. He wasn't scrolling or checking emails. He was just sitting quietly with a cup of coffee that had already gone cold. The waiters passed by him politely, some recognizing his face, none daring to ask questions. It was Keanu Reeves. No suit, no bodyguards, just a plain black sweater, a little frayed at the edges, and a faraway look in his eyes. He had come in an hour ago, ordered a small meal, barely touched it. He wasn't there to eat. He was there to remember. This used to be the restaurant where he'd have dinner with someone he loved, someone who once told him that Thanksgiving wasn't about food, it was about presence, about sitting still, about seeing each other. But now she was gone, and he was still learning how to sit alone. Across the room, at a round table near the fireplace, a small girl named Mia watched him. She had chocolate on her cheeks and a paper crown on her head. The kind restaurants hand out to kids to color. Her parents were laughing with her aunt and uncle. Her older brother was sneaking a piece of pumpkin pie when no one was looking. But Mia, she was watching the man at the window. She didn't know who he was. She didn't know about the movies or the fame. All she saw was someone who looked forgotten. She tugged at her mom's sleeve. "Mom," she whispered, "that man's all alone." Her mother glanced back quickly. "Honey, don't stare." "But he looks sad," Mia said. Her mom gave a small, polite smile. "Maybe he wants to be alone." Mia looked down at her plate, but something in her heart didn't agree. A few minutes passed. Then she quietly stood up, folded her paper crown, and walked across the room. Keanu didn't notice her at first. His thoughts were somewhere else, lost in memories, drifting through silence. Then he heard a small voice. "Hi." He looked up. There she was, a little girl, no older than 7, holding something in her hand, a paper crown. "You can have this," she said, "if you want." He blinked, caught off guard. Thank you. You look like you forgot it was Thanksgiving," she added, completely serious. He smiled a little. "Maybe I did." She stepped closer. "We're having dinner over there. You can sit with us, if you want." Keanu looked past her to the round table. A family of 5. Full plates, warm laughter. A mother watching nervously now, unsure what her daughter had just done. "I don't want to interrupt," he said gently. "You won't?" Mia shrugged. "We have too many rolls. And my brother doesn't like vegetables, so you can have his." He laughed quietly, something in her voice so open, so pure, reached through the fog inside him. It had been a long time since someone invited him without expecting anything, without knowing who he was, without asking for anything back. Just a simple, honest invitation. He glanced at the waitress, who gave him a small nod, as if to say, "Go on." "Okay," he said, "but only if I can sit next to you." Mia beamed. "Deal." She took his hand like it was the most natural thing in the world, and walked him back across the room. People stared. Some recognized him instantly. Others just wondered who the man was. Being led to a table by a tiny girl in a paper crown, but no one said a word. He sat down at the round table. Her mom smiled awkwardly. I hope she didn't bother you. She can be a little bold sometimes." Keanu smiled back. "Bold is good." Mia leaned toward her brother. "This is my new friend. He's gonna eat your broccoli." Her brother rolled his eyes. "Ugh." And just like that, something shifted. The table, once full of polite chatter, suddenly felt more alive. Stories began to flow. Jokes, laughter, small moments of connection. Keanu didn't talk much about himself. He didn't need to. He listened. He passed the butter. He helped the uncle open a jam jar. He complimented the stuffing. And when Mia asked him, "Do you like Thanksgiving now?" he looked her in the eye and said, "Yeah, I think I do again." For a man used to silence, the warmth surprised him. For a family used to routine, His presence felt like a spark. But what no one at the table knew not yet was that this dinner would echo far beyond that night. Because someone in the restaurant had taken a picture, a single photo, not staged, not posed. Just a man in a sweater sitting beside a little girl in a paper crown, both of them laughing, as if they had known each other forever. And the caption they posted read, "He was sitting alone. She invited him. No one knew it was Keanu Reeves." The photo would go viral in hours. But the real story, the story of why he came, what he lost, and what Mia gave back was only just beginning. And soon, the world would learn what kindness looks like when no one's watching. Asterisk the photo, the past, and the sudden stormy morning. The photo had already traveled across the world. It was first shared by a waitress who had worked the Thanksgiving shift at the restaurant. She didn't mean to start anything. She just thought it was sweet, this famous man sitting quietly with a little girl wearing a paper crown, smiling like he belonged there. But the internet had other plans. People shared it with captions like, "This is what humanity looks like." He didn't need a spotlight, just a seat at the table. She didn't know it was Keanu Reeves. She just saw someone who looked lonely. Within hours, news outlets picked it up. Reporters started calling the restaurant. Reddit threads filled with stories about Keanu's acts of kindness over the years. Instagram pages shared old videos of him giving up his seat on the subway or signing autographs without a guard in sight. But this one was different. This time, he wasn't just kind. He was invited. He was seen. And people wanted to know more. Asterisk asterisk Keanu, however, didn't say a word. He turned off his phone. He spent the morning walking alone in a quiet part of the city, his hands in his pockets, his mind full of the night before. He thought of the paper crown sitting in his jacket pocket. He hadn't thrown it away. He couldn't. He thought of Mia's voice, clear, gentle, sure of herself in a way most adults weren't. "You forgot it was Thanksgiving," she had said. She was right. He had forgotten a lot of things lately, and somehow, that little girl reminded him how to feel again. Asterisk asterisk, but not everyone online was kind. As the photo spread, rumors started to swirl. Some people said it was staged, that Mia had been planted, that the restaurant knew ahead of time. Others accused Keanu of using the moment to clean up his image, though they couldn't quite say what he needed to clean up. "Celebrities don't do anything for free," someone tweeted. "It's probably part of a promo campaign." Another wrote. Keanu single quotes as silence didn't help. His team received requests for statements, interviews, even offers from talk shows. He declined them all. He didn't want to explain something that was already simple. A little girl saw someone alone, and she invited him in. Asterisk asterisk at Mia's home. Things were changing too. Her mom's phone rang constantly. Reporters wanted quotes. Strangers were knocking on their door asking to meet Mia. Some brought flowers, others brought gifts. One person even left a stuffed bear on their porch with a note that read, "Your daughter saved my Thanksgiving." But not all of it felt good. People started saying strange things. How much are they getting paid for this? Do they even know what they've started? Why is this little girl everywhere? Mia's mom, Elisa, tried to shield her. She turned off the TV, stopped answering calls. She kept Mia home from school for a day, hoping the noise would pass. But kids talk. And by the next morning, Mia was a topic of conversation on every playground and parent group. Some called her a hero. Others whispered behind her back she didn't understand why. "Did I do something bad?" she asked her mom quietly. Elisa kneeled beside her. "No, honey, you did something beautiful." But sometimes, beautiful things make people uncomfortable. Why? Because not everyone remembers how to be kind. Mia looked down at the table where her crayons were scattered beside her crown. "Will he still come back?" she asked. Elisa paused. "I don't know, sweetheart." Asterisk asterisk Keanu sat in a bookstore that afternoon, tucked into a quiet corner, reading the same page over and over. He wasn't sure what to do next. The world wanted him to say something, but all he could think about was the chair he sat in the night before, the laughter round the table, and the way Mia had offered her brothers broccoli like it was the greatest treasure in the world. He reached into his coat pocket and unfolded the crown. He held it for a long time. Then he made a call, asterisk asterisk 2 hours later. He was standing in front of Mia's door. Elisa opened it, surprised but calm. "Mr. Reeves," she said. "Keanu," he replied softly. They stood there for a beat. Then she stepped aside. Mia was in the living room, coloring. When she looked up and saw him, she ran over. "You came back," she said, wrapping her arms around his waist. He smiled, hugging her back gently. "I had to. I never got to say thank you." She looked confused. "For what?" "For reminding me what dinner tastes like with laughter." She giggled. "Did you like the broccoli?" "I'm still recovering." They laughed, and something eased in the air. Elisa brought them tea. They sat on the floor, no cameras, no crowds, just quiet conversation. Keanu stayed for an hour. He told them the truth, that he never meant for the photo to go viral, that he never wanted attention, and that what Mia gave him that night couldn't be bought or explained. "You made me feel like I belonged," he said, "and I hadn't felt that in a long time." They sat in silence for a while. Then Mia stood and handed him a new drawing. In it, two people sat at a round table. One wore a paper crown. The other had long black hair and a smile. Underneath, she wrote, "You can sit with us anytime." Asterisk asterisk. But outside the window, a car sat parked with a large camera lens sticking out. A tabloid photographer had followed Keanu. He had taken pictures through the window. And that night, headlines exploded. "Keanu Reeves visits girl from viral Thanksgiving." Photo exclusive shots from inside. Private dinner reveals hidden bond between lonely actor and young fan. Who is this family? And what's Keanu hiding? The photos were everywhere. And once again, the noise returned. But this time, it wasn't just whispers. Someone from Keanu's past had seen the photo, and they weren't smiling. They weren't a stranger. They were someone who had once loved him, and they were about to step back into his life for the first time in 20 years. Asterisk the return. The pressure and the quiet before the break. Photos had gone everywhere. Websites, tabloids, social media. The image of Keanu Reeves sitting on a patterned carpet with a paper crown on his head, drinking tea beside a small girl with crayon stains on her fingers. It looked like a still from a movie, but it was real, and it made people feel something. Some said it gave them hope, others said it was strange, and some saw more than what the photo showed. One of those people was a woman sitting in a quiet bookstore in Montreal. She wore a long coat, glasses too big for her face, and held a coffee that had gone cold in her hands. Her name was Elena, and 20 years ago, she had loved Keanu Reeves more than anything. Asterisk asterisk. They had met before the world knew his name, before the blockbusters, before the awards, when he was just a man with sad eyes and a kind voice who came to her cafe every morning and ordered tea with too much honey. They were together for almost 4 years. They had talked about moving in, about names for future children. Then everything changed. A tragedy tore through Keanu's life like a storm with no warning, and he disappeared, not out of anger, not out of cruelty, but out of heartbreak. And Elena never stopped wondering if he'd ever come back. She didn't follow celebrity news, didn't care for the cameras, but when she saw the photo of him, sitting in a child's living room wearing a crown made from folded paper, she froze, her hands shook, her breath caught, not because of the girl, but because of his face. He was smiling, not just the polite smile he wore in interviews, a real one, the kind she hadn't seen into decades. And deep in her chest, something cracked open. Asterisk asterisk. Back in Los Angeles, Keanu was sitting on a bench outside the bakery he and Mia now visited together every Sunday. She was inside with her mom, choosing cookies. He stared at the sky, lost in thought, when his phone buzzed. A message from a number he didn't recognize, but the name attached to it made his chest tighten. Elena. Just one line. "I saw the photo. You look happy. Can we talk?" He didn't respond right away. His hands trembled slightly. He hadn't spoken her name aloud in over a decade. When Mia came back out with a bag of cookies, she offered him the biggest one. "You look like you need chocolate," she said simply. He smiled, took it, and said nothing about the message. Asterisk asterisk. Over the next few days, the pressure from the media intensified. Someone published Mia's last name. A drone flew over their apartment building. Reporters followed them from the grocery store. One outlet even offered money for an exclusive interview with the girl who made Keanu Reeves cry. Mia's mom, Elisa, was overwhelmed. She tried to stay calm, tried to protect her daughter, but the walls were closing in. One evening, after another phone call from a journalist pretending to be a school official, Elisa broke down. Keanu found her in the hallway, sitting on the floor with her hands over her face. "They won't stop," she said. "I don't know how to keep her safe." He sat beside her. "Then let me help," he said. She looked at him. How he hesitated. "We leave. Just for a while. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere they won't follow." And what do we tell Mia? That sometimes even grown-ups need to run toward peace. **** That night, Keanu messaged Elena back. "I'm sorry I disappeared. I wasn't strong enough then. I think about you often. Maybe we can meet, but not yet. I have something I need to protect first." He didn't send a second message, but Elena read it over and over, holding the phone like it might disappear. She didn't reply, but she understood. Some people come back into your life like storms. Others wait for the right season. ****. Keanu, Elisa, and Mia quietly left the city 2 days later. No press releases, no goodbye posts. Just a simple note taped to the door of the bakery. "Thank you for the peace. We'll return when the noise settles." They moved into a small guest house by a lake, just outside Santa Fe. No cameras, no crowds. Just water, sky, and time. ****. In the evenings, Mia and Keanu would sit on the porch. She would draw while he read. Sometimes they'd talk about big questions. "Do you think love disappears?" Mia asked one night. Keanu thought about it. "I think love stays, even if people go." She nodded. "Like when someone dies, or when they walk away." He added softly. Mia didn't ask what he meant. She just took his hand. "You didn't walk away from me." "I won't," he promised. ***, but peace never lasts forever. Back in Los Angeles, a tabloid printed a story titled, "Keanu Reeves in Hiding What He's Not Telling the World," about the girl in the photo. And inside was a lie. They claimed Mia's family was being paid, that the entire moment had been scripted. They printed old photos of Elisa, dug up debt records, accused Keanu of orchestrating a perfect viral moment. The story exploded. And just like that, everything was on fire. Keanu saw the headline early that morning. Elisa was already crying. Mia sat quietly, confused. "Why are they saying you paid me to be nice?" she asked. "I didn't," he said softly. "I know," she said, and hugged him tightly. ***, Keanu had faced lies before, but this was different. This lie didn't just hurt him. It hurt them. And he knew there was only one way to fight back. Not with anger, not with silence, with the truth. And to do that, he needed someone who had once known his truth better than anyone else. He picked up the phone, called the number, and when Elena answered, his voice was steady. "I need to tell the world who I am now. And I think I need you to help me do it." The interview, the confession, and the roar of silence. Keanu Reeves had never done a live interview like this. Not in decades. Not without a studio behind him. Not without a press team carefully guiding each word. But this wasn't about a movie or a role. This was about truth. It was about a little girl who offered kindness without asking for anything back. It was about a mother who opened her home to a stranger. And it was about shutting down a lie that threatened to destroy something fragile, beautiful, and rare. ***, The interview was set to air live across multiple platforms. No trailers, no fanfare. Just a chair, a table, 2 microphones, and 2 people facing each other after 20 years. Keanu and Elena. She had flown in quietly, her hair a little grayer, her eyes softer but still strong. When she walked into the room, they didn't speak. At first, they just stood there. Then he said, "Thank you for coming." And she said, "I never stopped hoping you would call." They sat down. Cameras rolled, and the world watched. The host introduced the segment simply. "Tonight, we're not here for gossip. We're here for truth. What you're about to hear may challenge what you think you know about fame, grief, kindness, and what it means to truly be seen, The first few questions were gentle. Keanu spoke about the viral photo, how it wasn't planned, how he hadn't even known the picture was taken until the next morning, how the little girl, Mia, reminded him of someone he had once lost. Then the host asked about the lies, about the headlines, about the accusations that it was all scripted. Keanu leaned forward. People are afraid of what they don't understand. He said softly, we live in a world that thinks everything has to have an angle. But sometimes, a little girl really does just walk up to you and say, you can sit with us. And that moment saves you. He paused. I didn't plan any of this, and neither did she. The host nodded. Why bring Elena here tonight? Keanu turned to her. Because she knew me before the world did. Before the fame, before the silence, before the loss. He looked into the camera. The truth is, I lost someone close to me years ago, and I didn't know how to grieve. I disappeared. I hurt people who loved me. One of them was Elena. Elena's hand touched his gently, and I thought I'd never find my way back to the version of me who could love again. He continued. But that night sitting with Mia, hearing her laugh, watching her draw with crayons and wear that paper crown, something opened. I remembered who I was before the world told me I had to be anyone else. Elena was then asked a question the audience hadn't expected. Did you ever think you'd see him again like this? She smiled gently. I always believed kindness would bring him back. I just didn't expect it to come in the form of a 7-year-old with chocolate on her face. Laughter broke out in the studio. Soft, warm, real. Toward the end of the interview, Keanu looked into the camera again. His voice calm, steady. To anyone who read those headlines, who believed, the worst, I forgive you. We're all a little broken. And sometimes we think the only stories worth believing are the messy ones. But I'm here to say, this was real. The laughter, the tea, the broccoli, it was all real. And if you can't believe in that, maybe it's time you try again. The interview ended with a moment of stillness. No applause, no music, just silence. A kind of silence that didn't feel empty. It felt like truth. The internet reacted fast, but not the way they expected. No outrage, no mockery. Just thousands of comments. I believe him. That girl changed his life. And mine. Sometimes the best stories are quiet. This made me cry. I'm going to call my mom. I'm going to sit with someone tomorrow. Keanu and Elena left the studio quietly. When they stepped outside, the sky above was clear, the city lights soft. He turned to her. I was afraid the world wouldn't understand. Elena smiled. Maybe, but Mia did. And sometimes, one person is enough. When they returned to the lakeside house the next day, Mia ran to the car, hugging Keanu before he could even shut the door. You're still my friend, right? She asked. Always, he said, lifting her into his arms. Did they believe you? I think they did. Good, she said. But even if they didn't, I would have shared my cookies again. He smiled. I know. A week later, a package arrived at their door. No return address. Inside, there was a tiny wooden frame. It held the photo, the original one. Keanu sitting beside Mia, a paper crown on his head. Beneath it, someone had carved 5 simple words into the frame. You can sit with us. But what they didn't know, what even Keanu didn't know, was that someone else had been watching the interview closely. Not a journalist. Not a fan, but a young girl in a hospital bed, battling something fierce, something that had kept her silent for months. And that night, after watching Keanu's words, she asked her mother for crayons, for the first time in 6 weeks, and she drew 2 chairs, side by side. Beneath them, she wrote, maybe I'll invite someone to, the drawing, the hospital, and the ripple that grew miles away from the lake house. In a quiet children's hospital outside Chicago, a girl named Emily sat propped up in bed, her arms thin beneath a blanket, a bandage taped across her collarbone, and a tube gently clipped to her nose. For weeks, she hadn't spoken, not since her 3rd round of treatment, not since her favorite nurse left, not since the pain became too much to put into words. But that night, after watching the interview with Keanu Reeves and the woman with soft eyes, Emily had reached for her mother's hand and whispered, "Can I have crayons?" Her mother had frozen. Tears filled her eyes. It was the first word Emily had said in 42 days. She brought the crayons immediately. Emily drew slowly, carefully, 2 chairs, side by side. No faces, no names, just peace. Beneath it, she wrote in shaky handwriting, "Maybe I'll invite someone too." The nurse who came in that morning to check her chart found the drawing taped to the wall. She didn't ask questions, she just smiled. But later that day, the hospital director noticed it, and something inside him stirred. Meanwhile, back at the lake house, Keanu and Mia were playing chess on the porch while Lisa poured lemonade. The news had finally started to calm. The online storm was fading. The world had moved on to new stories. But the quiet, this kind of quiet, was rare, and they cherished it. Until a letter arrived. Not an email, not a press request. An envelope. Handwritten. Simple. No return address. Keanu opened it slowly. Inside was a single photo. It was the drawing. The 2 chairs. And the words, "Maybe I'll invite someone too." Beneath the drawing was a note. "Her name is Emily. She hasn't spoken in weeks. After watching your interview, she asked for crayons. And she smiled for the first time since October. We thought you should know." Keanu didn't speak for a full minute. Then he quietly folded the letter, stood, and walked into the house. The next morning, he called the hospital. Not his assistant, not a manager. He called personally. He asked to speak to whoever had written the letter. The staff transferred him to a senior nurse who confirmed the drawing was real. "She's 7. The nurse said. "She watches your video every day. We thought it might be a phase, but she keeps drawing chairs." Keanu's voice was soft. "May I visit?" The line went quiet. Then came a stunned, "Yes." He didn't make an announcement. He didn't bring cameras. Just himself, a plain blue hoodie, and a small canvas bag filled with cookies, some oatmeal, some chocolate chip, and a folded paper crown. Lisa and Mia came with him. They had become a family by then, not by blood, but by something stronger. Choice. Emily was sitting up when they entered her room. Her mother turned, gasped softly, then covered her mouth. Emily's eyes widened. She blinked, then she whispered, "You came." Keanu smiled. "You invited me, didn't you?" He walked slowly to her bedside and knelt. From the canvas bag, he pulled out a folded piece of paper and opened it. It was a drawing. 2 chairs, again, but this time there was a third. Beneath it, he had written, "Maybe we all sit together." Emily reached out, and for the first time in months, her tiny hand gripped another without flinching. Keanu held it gently. Mia walked over and placed a cookie on the bedside table. "Chocolate chip," she said. "They help with hospital air." Emily smiled. Not wide, not big. But enough. The visit lasted only 20 minutes. No cameras. Just stories. Crayons, shared laughter. And before they left, Emily looked at Keanu and asked, "Will you come back?" He nodded. "As long as there's a chair." News of the visit spread slowly, but only because a nurse snapped a photo and shared it with a private group of parents battling pediatric illness. The caption simply read, "He came, he brought cookies, and he listened." Kindness is not a performance. Sometimes it's just being there. The post went viral in a matter of hours. But this time, no one doubted him. People didn't accuse. They didn't question. They followed. Not to chase fame, but to follow example. Then. The letters began. Thousands of them. From kids, from nurses, from grandparents, from strangers who had once sat alone at dinner, from people who hadn't spoken to a loved one in years. They all started with some version of the same thing. "Your story reminded me. Because of you. I invited. I gave someone a seat." Churches began setting up invitation tables, seats left open for anyone feeling alone. Restaurants around the world started offering companion tables, meals half-priced, if you invited someone sitting alone. Teachers in classrooms created Be With Us corners for kids who felt left out. During lunch. All because a girl offered her paper crown to a stranger at Thanksgiving. And because he didn't forget. Keanu, Elisa, and Mia eventually returned to the city. Not to be in the spotlight. But to live. In their small apartment. The living room wall held for drawings now. One of a table. One of a hill with 3 people holding hands under a big sun. One of a bus stop in the rain. And one, just a single sentence written in purple crayon. You can sit with us. **** On the anniversary of that Thanksgiving, Mia was asked to speak at a children's kindness summit in New York City. When she walked on stage, the room fell silent. She wore a paper crown, and she said, "Kindness doesn't need to be big, just real. Even if all you have is a cookie or a chair." Keanu watched from the front row, his hand in Elise's, his eyes full. The world had changed, not because of headlines, but because of a child who asked a question no one else did. "You want to have dinner with us?" The dinner, the reunion, and the legacy left behind. Second Thanksgiving arrived like a soft wind through tall grass, quiet, but unforgettable. It had been exactly 1 year since Mia walked across that restaurant floor and asked a man sitting alone, "You want to have dinner with us?" She didn't know who he was. She just saw someone who looked lonely. Now, the world knew the story. But to her, he still wasn't a movie star. He was just Keanu, the man who helped her bake cookies, who taught her how to play chess, and who always brought an extra chair. ***, the mayor of Los Angeles had reached out 2 months before the holiday. They wanted to honor Mia and Keanu. Not with awards, not with plaques, but with something meaningful. So they proposed something new. A national event called the Invitation Dinner. Restaurants, parks, schools, and churches across the country would reserve empty seats for strangers. Anyone who felt alone could sit. Anyone who noticed could invite. No rules, no cost. Just kindness, a table open to all. And they wanted Mia to open the first one. ***, the night before the event, Keanu sat at the dining table with Eliza and Mia. He had something in his hand, a small wooden box. He slid it across the table toward Mia. "What's this?" she asked. "Open it." He smiled. Inside was the folded paper crown she gave him a year ago. Still a little crumpled, still stained with chocolate. But beside it was something new. A small gold pin, shaped like a chair. "This is for you," he said, "because you reminded the world how powerful it is to let someone sit with you." Mia's eyes sparkled. "Are you gonna wear one too?" "I already am," he said, pulling his jacket slightly aside. On his chest, just above his heart, was a matching pin. ***, the next morning, the city square was filled. Not with cameras, not with noise, but with tables, dozens of them. Long wooden tables, set with simple plates, bread rolls, pitchers of water. On every table, one empty seat. A sign next to it that read, "Reserved for someone who needs it." Mia walked to the microphone, her paper crown perfectly perched, her tiny gold pin glinting in the sunlight. She looked out at thousands of people. Then she said, "1 year ago, I asked a man if he wanted to eat dinner with us. I didn't know he was famous. I just saw someone who looked sad. Now I hope you see someone too. Maybe sitting alone, maybe walking by, maybe just hoping someone says hi. If you see them, invite them." She smiled. "It's really easy. You just say, 'You can sit with us.'" ***, applause rose, not loud but full, not for fame, but for a little girl who remembered what so many forget, that dinner isn't about food. It's about who you share it with. ***, that night, back at their home, Keanu received a message. It was from Elena. Just 3 words, "I'm here, outside." He stepped onto the porch. There she was, hands in her coat pockets, eyes warm. "I didn't want to miss the anniversary," she said. "You didn't," he replied. They didn't need to say much more. She came in, sat down. Elisa greeted her like an old friend, and Mia offered her a cookie. They sat at the dinner table. For chairs, no spot left empty. No one spoke of what could have been, only what was. Because sometimes life gives you a second dinner, a second chance, a second seat. ***, in the weeks that followed, the invitation dinner spread to other countries. A school in Japan started silent lunch partners, where children left welcome notes at empty chairs. A cafe in Brazil set up a chalkboard where people could leave invitations to eat together. A family in Morocco built a bench outside their bakery that said, "Come eat with us." Even if you have no money, and in a hospital room in Chicago. Emily, now healthy enough to walk again, set up a coloring table in the children's ward. She called it the Kindness Corner. A nurse found her sitting with a new patient, sharing crayons. They were both wearing paper crowns. Keanu never returned fully to Hollywood. He did one small film, then quietly stepped back. He said, "I've already had my greatest role. It was being the guest at a little girl's Thanksgiving table. Years passed. Mia grew older. Keanu's hair grayed. But every Thanksgiving, they sat at the same restaurant table by the fireplace. The same one where they first met. This time, they always booked extra seats. Some were filled by old friends, some by strangers. Some stayed empty just in case. But one seat was never left alone. The one beside Mia. And every time someone asked her, 'Why do you still wear the crown?' she answered simply, 'Because kindness makes everyone royalty.'"